Hello everyone, welcome back to the shed. This time we're back with Accurascale once again for their new Class 50. Let's get this out of the box. Before I start waffling, I want to point something out with the box. I already have a half dozen Accurascale locos and a few others on pre-order. This is the first model where there is a defect on the box. I'm not sure what kind of cut or scrape that is, but it is. I can feel that with my finger. Not massive, but it's a bit of a shame on, you know, a limited edition box with this quite nice artwork, especially the ends for like the rail freight general, and then you've got the info end. While we get this out of the box, I'll waffle about personal life. Over the past 2 months, they have been, well, at work, they have been closing my department, so I've been displaced. Starting next week, I will be in the same discipline, just a different department, thank goodness. Limited edition certificate, once again, just like the EWS 31, no number on it though. So this will also have maintaining your loco, your sounds, function list, and a little booklet on the background of the class. And then of course here we are. Now I have already got this out of the box. This arrived yesterday. I'm recording this morning. So this was actually inside the ice cube packaging. It's the usual things of read before you run it. It's got modern electronics, so be careful, and here's how to set up your blanking plates switches for running on DC. So yes, anyway, at work I will still be signals and telecom on the railway, but instead of tearing out old bits and installing new bits, I will be maintaining and fault response. Right, I'm not sure if this was meant to be glued in, but this is meant to be in the bottom just here, I believe. It fell out when I first got it out of the packaging. It gives the sleeve of the ice cube packaging some nice resistance. It's not going to easily fall off. Loads and loads of details in the parts pack. You've got screw link couplings, you've got various types of brake piping, you've got different setups of plows, what looks to be as well the guide in front of the wheels. That's interesting, they haven't done that anyway. And also I think those are the cab end steps as well, which of course were a notoriously fragile part of Hornby's 50, so maybe that's a good thing they haven't applied those from the factory. In here, shielded by this piece of card, are various etched pieces. So you can see there's the nameplates, you've also got the layer galleon, there's a BR double arrows just in front of that as well, and up here you've also got a Hoover headboard, which it carried. I can't remember if it was on a rail tour or if it was in preservation. Either way, in here as well are also the Defiance ship crests, which it carried in preservation and not during service when it was actually out with BR. So you got some really good setups there, so you can model this loco in its in the 2 eras it wore this livery. So that's really good. And of course we've got a nice sort of, I'm not sure if this is silicone or what, but as usual, a nice sleeve, protect your model from any of the packaging so it won't affect the livery. So now that we've got it out of the box, let's tidy up the box. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Anyway, I digress. I hope everyone else is well now that I've ranted about my own life. Well, not necessarily ranted, but explained something that's been overshadowing everything else. Right, and as I feel like keeping this on the layout for a while, I will actually put the lid back on. There's nothing actually on the back now, is there? No. This is usually white instead of grey. That's interesting. Only just noticed that. And this huge plastic sleeve that's annoying as all hell. I suppose you can like throw it away, but it is still part of the packaging. You'd like to keep it, wouldn't you? So let's put that down there. And do we want to have a look at the logo? No, let's have a look at the booklets first. It's always wise to read the paperwork. So I won't take everything out all at once so I can get stuff back in. So let's have a look at maintaining your model. Here is the absolutely huge parts list and information on how to fit stuff to the buffer beam and a QR code to scan so you can watch. I think it goes into a bit more detail in terms of what parts you should fit in what certain era. I'm talking absolutely terribly today. In a certain era, so either pre or post refurb, which is really good. Unpacking, intended use, wheel cleaning, and connectivity. A guide for fitting your drivers, that's very nice. And info about removing the body, because of course not everyone's going to buy a sound fitted one straight from the get-go. They might sound fit it themselves later. Lubrication, acknowledgements from people who've been helpful to the project. So let's slide this one back in and have a look at the nice big booklets with the pseudo rusty staples, yeah, and pseudo coffee stains. So talking about them: introduction, in service, more in service, getting put on the NSE, a nice good section on this one. Actually I think it is only that long, 2 paragraphs. Notes what it was, how it was done. Yep. 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 Yep, it does mention like all the locos that Rail Freight General was applied to. This is something that I don't think many people know. Rail Freight General was the the shortest lived of the sectors. It got really quickly absorbed into distribution, so this red and yellow checker went really quickly and turned into the red and yellow diamonds. Of course, this is the only version of Rail Freight that a 50 ever wore, General. But it does mention, of course, other locos, so some 86s, 2 locos that only wore them for 24 hours, so they could be photographed for some publicity, and one of them being a 60. I think it appeared on the front of one of BR's internal magazines. and a few 08s as well. But of course it mentions here one of the most notable is 37104, a model I happen to have and is on the layout, so my closing shot will be those two lined up next to each other. That'd be very nice. Final BR years with various special liveries, which of course I like. I haven't bothered with the green Sir Edward Elgar. I don't know if it ever, those GWR green diesels ever really tickled me. The only one that has is 57604. Now this is a livery I'd like to see in Accura's catalogue, the LMS Crimson. It's a very Marmite livery. I think a lot of people don't like it. I do like it. It's weird, it's new, it's strange. It's very cool. And of course your excuse me, modern liveries, Hanson and Hall, Thunderer in that livery. I prefer the Lara Blue. This is another one I wouldn't mind getting. Hood in Intercity Swallow. Fictional, of course, but that is very nice. Ark Royal, of course, also wore Load Hall. I don't collect Load Hall, but I think it suits the livery quite well. And then, of course, you got the modern, more recent GBRF, because I think it's the 50 Alliance. Work a lot with GBRF in order to do rail tours and such. And I think it would also be nice to see number 19 Ramillies in Lara Blue. So yeah, there's still a remit for me to want those 50s in those liveries. I'm not exactly going to rush, though, or try and rush Accurascale in any way to make them. It's just maybe my wallet feels a little loose that this has arrived. My vocabulary today is absolutely atrocious. Slurring and mispronouncing all over the shop. Right, so now that we've taken a look at that, we won't take a look at the functions list just yet. We're going to take a look at the model. It's taken this bloody long. Here it is, nice and close up. Ta-da! Of course, the Lara Galleon at the end. General sector nameplates in yellow, and then the extra little bit of general sector marking. 5149. Chains on the bogies, very nicely detailed. One thing I'd like to point out, an etched grille underneath right there, and all of the detailing in between is there. It's visible. You can tell there is stuff behind what is at the edges, if you see what I mean, when it's on the layouts and when you're looking at it from the side. In a minute we'll compare it with Hornby's one, because that's the best, well, the next most modern 00 scale 50. So it's the nearest comparison we can get. From memory, it was this end. There was a component off in the box. It was this, I believe it's a multi-working socket on the nose end. It was off and in the box, easily pushed back in, and it is holding itself there. I will consider a tiniest dab of glue maybe to hold it in. I would like to stand corrected on the end steps. They are there, and they feel just as fragile as Hornbys, so I'm not going to muck about with them. Sprung buffers, of course. No detailing to the buffer beam fitted. That's pretty cool, and you've got your couplings already fitted at both ends. That's pretty cool. That really gives you a chance to customize it, make it your own. You can detail one end, or you could add some details, but not all of them. That's pretty good. The etched grille for the roof fan is very fine. It's got a lot of spacing, I suppose you'd call it, between... That's annoying. Okay, this quarter of the roof grille fan is sort of pushed in, like it's been dented. I wonder if it's just like a tensile thing, and it will pop the other way if I lift it. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's just been dinged a little. Maybe it was, you know, someone accidentally put their hand on it in the factory. It does really want to ping back down. No, there we go. Okay. Just needed a little further encouragement. Okay, so that's something of note as well. The side grills right here are 3D molded, not just printed. They are nice. There's also some very fine printing on the warning sign right there, and I can't... Danger, keep clear of something blades. So it's actually that tiny focus, that tiny sign right there is legible. That's very impressive. Of course, that's, yeah, gauge right there is 3D molded to the body, so that gives it some texture, some pop. Tops panel down by the double arrows, and then you've got some warning flashes here and there. I think some comments on a Facebook post demoing the sound profile for the 50 rightfully said the magnetic roof hatch wasn't sitting flush, or what if this is a bad precedent for the running, you know, the actual production examples. As far as I'm concerned, that is sitting flush as all hell. That's I mean, I can't even... unless I use maybe a guitar pick to try and... I hope I am trying to lift the right part. See, I just don't think it's worth trying to do this just to prove a point, because I don't want to damage the model in any way. No, I'm not going to try. It's very tight, very snug. I'm not going to be able to get it off. Then again, I have also cut my fingernails, so... I'm not too sure what Accura's suggestion is for trying to get that magnetic roof hatch off. See, I just don't want to, because I don't want to chip the paint, I don't want to scratch it. This is an expensive model. I don't want to. I don't want to. Also of note, I believe it's this end, the boiler cover is plated over, and of course this is a refurb version, so this is plated over. My camera really doesn't want to focus today. There we go. Da-da-da-da. Right, and for sake of direct comparison, I have got one of my Hornby 50s here. This is 50015 Valiant in BR Civil's livery. Of note immediately, I feel, only because these are the posable vents, there's more definition to these, but they do sit further back into the body, of course. And let's have a look at these vents on the side. They're about the same in terms of detail. Bogies, there's definitely more definition to Accurascales, and of course you've got those little chains as well. You've also got BR Timken on the axle boxes. Actually says that, it's legible, not just painted yellow. Cabin steps are finer on Accurascale, and as you can see here, as I pointed out in the Accurascale one, you've got an etched grille there. Here you've got absolutely nothing, there's just empty space between each side. Again, camera doesn't want to focus yet, you can see there, absolutely nothing there, etched grille and bits under the Accurascale one. Front end detail, I'd say Accura's has a bit more definition to it. Can I get these focused? Yeah, there you go. Accura's definitely has a bit more definition to it. It's not just here's some moulded plastic. And Hornby's has a visible like mould line on it as well. The windscreen wipers are finer on Accurascales as well. Of course, these are very late in their life, so they've got the can't focus syndrome. I hate this camera sometimes. They've got the radio antennas on top of their roofs. Accurascale's exhaust vents are better because they're actually open. Hornbys are just, they're moulded, they're not open. I think there's sort of like a grill over them. Accura's are better, anyway. Roof detailing, it's definitely more defined on the Accura one, but it is there on the Hornby one. So to be honest, roof detailing is about the same, but Accura's takes it in places. And there's better moulding. This gauge on Hornby's one doesn't actually have anything in it. This one actually has a white background and a dial. This component here by the bogie is better on the Accura one. But in all honesty, I think if you want now a budget 50, a second-hand Hornby one's probably going to be your best bet, because people are going to try and get rid of those. Go for the Accura one because they're the nice new, updated, modern thing to have. So we have now gone over the model. Oh, excuse me. So I want to get this on the track and actually moving and run in. So I want to put this ideally on road 3 so we can negotiate the double slip and the curved point. Goes on nice and easily. Right, so only because I don't remember if I've programmed an address for that one, I'm going to isolate it. DCC, and of course we are default address 3. So let's turn this around. Which way is forwards? Fan end is forwards. A little bit of motor noise, I'd say probably the same amount as the 37. Or no, the 31 probably. So let's get this up to speed step 20. Negotiates the double slip perfectly fine. And the curve point as well. So I've currently got her set to speed step 50. Of course, not the fastest in the world. This loco was re-geared for freight use. But of course a normal 50 could hit, I think, 100 mile an hour. Nice and smooth, and honestly handles these points pretty well. It really is like an intimidating loco. It's just very long. Of course, that BR standard cab that EE were, English Electric of course, were forced to use instead of their usual nose design, as it were. So the loco is now run in. I did experience some squeaking when travelling in reverse, so non-fan end first. I've added some lubrication to the axles. I'm wondering if it might actually be internal. It's definitely an audible squeak. So hopefully, hopefully, Accurascale aren't going the way of Bachmann and Hornby and being really stingy on lubrication, or the type of lubrication they use. But anyway, now it's time for sound. Of course, this is a DCC sound fitted model. So I've programmed an address 5014 because there are no other 50-1s, so it gives it a nice unique address. So let's see, on isolate, and we'll give it a second or two just to make sure that capacitor is nice and charged up, as that was one of the things with the 37. You had to give it a good few seconds to make sure there's enough energy being stored in there. Of course, I'm going to be using the functions list to go through everything right now. So let's get some sound on. Yep, that sounds like how I remember a 50 sounding. Headlights too. So it's currently forward, so yeah, middle headlight is on there. Okay. And the left tail light is on, which I can control with option 19. But first of all, what I'll do is turn on the right tail light with option 23. Yep, that works. And if I just change direction, got a headlight on this end, and I can't see around the camera. Yeah, tail lights, both tail lights on. Okay. Change direction again. And since we're running as a train, I won't need either real tail lights, so option 19, and now there's no tail lights because we're running this as a train. So let's have some horns. Pretty good, but I feel like the high tone is maybe a little too much for the speaker. Okay. There's heavy train mode, light loco mode, drive holds, cold starts, or electric train heating, considering this is well, more specifically a freight loco. It doesn't, well, it shouldn't be using ETH anyway. It has been sent out, well, in real life on its BR days, to rescue failed passenger services, so that's not entirely out of the question, but again, it won't have ETH. So two-tone on function 9. Yep. Carriage door slams. Yep. Flange squeal. Shorts. High horn. Oh. There we go. Short high horn. Short low. Buffer up. Yep. And deactivating that is the screw-link coupler. Rear joints, guards whistle. Clean air plant hoover sound. I'm not sure whether that actually works on this model because of course it's after the refurb. Fade out sound, tail lights, headlight on off, cab lights on off, so we want that, 21. Yep, cab lighting, lovely. Desk lights, why not? So a quick look in there. Yep, they work, lovely. Then we've got engine room on function 24. Yep, they work, lovely. And then your Spirax valves on function 25. I've got to say, you know, even though I've had two Deltics, two 92s, the 37, the 31, this is really loud. Straight from the factory. Anyway, sort of blitzed through those. Now we're going to see it running around the layout with the sound on, of course. I'm going to be running this with 4 Tiger wagons. I'll talk about stuff that this loco would have hauled in the end of the video. So let's zoom the camera out a little. Sound a horn. And give some power. So there we are, Accurascale's new Class 50. I've got to say, it's pretty impressive, and in a number of areas on those little details it is better than Hornby's. So you're definitely, really can't speak to that, you're definitely going to get what you pay for. Something I'd like to note, the roof fan, the working roof fan on this model, it only kicks in when a certain audio file is playing, and that audio file was only playing at somewhere around speed step 60. After it had been maybe done 1 or 2 loops around the layout, and then that audio file will cut out once the loco is brought down to a lower speed and the fan will stop, so it's not operating the whole time. If that's prototypical or not, I don't know. The footage I have of 50s from the top does have the roof fan running as it's pulling into the station. But how hard the loco's been working and how hot it has gotten in real life, I don't know. Anyway, specifically this model, 50149 Defiance, the livery's done really well, even its little quirks, including the different coloured 9 down here. It's actually blue on the front, which is true to life. They've really captured a number of details here really, really well. I also just want to look, the sort of grip grates that you'd sort of step on, those look etched, you can see through them. That's really well done. The detailing underneath with the etched grill and everything, really well done. A really flush fit. I have managed to actually get this off now, the detachable roof. It was a very, very snug fit, and it only goes back in one way as well. So I'm thinking maybe that video they did on YouTube, no, on Facebook, sorry, demonstrating the sound functions, maybe someone put it back the wrong way around. It has a little notch at one end, so you know which end sits at which. The sound profile itself, the engine noise is really, really good. I think the horns could maybe be a little better. Any downsides? I think maybe a tiniest bit of chipped paint there. The multi-working socket fallen off in the box. And a slight squeak. I think maybe getting the bottom keeper plates off and lubricating the gear train. And you can't really get to the worm gear unless you get the body off. Maybe just a little bit more lubrication with some light lube and it will be perfect. Price wise, I believe this was £300. I can double check that right now. Accurascale 50 149. It helps if you look at the sound fitted version. Yeah, £300 including VAT. So we're looking at, I think it was 160. It might be more than that actually. Oh, 190 for a non-sound fitted one, which is a lot. In terms of modern prices for models, that's not the highest in the world. That's comparable to Hornby. But considering you can probably pick a older Hornby one up for less than that, I'd say if you're on a budget, go with the Hornby one. If you are looking for a specific livery or a specific 50 that's tooled accurately, really well detailed, comes with a very rich amount of detail, I'd say this is definitely worth the money. But it would be worth Yeah, it would be worth saving your money, not getting one of these and getting one of these instead. Those extra little bits here and there really make it stand out, and the fidelity of components such as the multi-working cable and sockets, with no mould lines, visible mould lines like Hornby. It's really pushing it as an accurate scale model of the loco, and not just how would you put it? I don't want to say toy trains, but I suppose that's not fair because it's an older tooling. Anyway, as you can see, I've lined this up next to 37104, this being, of course, as mentioned in the booklet, the other notable loco to carry rail freight general sector livery. And of course I have it. This is a Bachmann exclusive, a now older tooling of their 37, but still very nice. What would this 50 be hauling? Well, since it was based at Lera, China clay, lots of China clay, some mixed freight China clay workings. As you saw with the PBA Tigers, the least amount I've seen of just those wagons is 2 in a photograph. The most I've seen, I think, is 4. I seem to recall maybe one that was a shot on Flickr that had a few more than that. And of course it wasn't just PBA Tiger wagons it also hauled the CDA China clay hoppers, which Accurascale have now brought out. They've brought out about 5 packs of 3, so you can get away with 15 wagons in English China clay livery, which actually say ECC on the side. And there's also a photo of I'm trying to remember what station it is. Lostwithiel. The branch down from there to the China clay unloading point. There's a photograph of this 50 in this livery with a full, huge rake of China clay hoods. And as I mentioned earlier, this did actually Thunderbird a few failed services, so you could get away with another loco behind it, plus a few coaches, or maybe you could just go into the realms of fantasy and it's sort of based on reality. Just a few maybe Mark 1s or Mark 2s, definitely Mark 2s because this is 80s, 90s we're talking about actually, late 80s, so definitely Mark 2s. A few of those, and you could call it like an extra summer service or whatever, just because of the increase in traffic on the railway. So yeah, coming back to all of the points, would I recommend you get one of these? If you like this loco in this livery, absolutely. The other exclusives at Elgar, that has been done before a few times. There's still a good few variants, like unique variants and unique liveries to go on the 50. So I imagine in the next run they're going to hit a lot of those. Maybe the GBRF twins of, which is it, 007 and 049. Lera Blue, you've got that LMS one as well. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 other. Oh yeah, of course, Intercity Swallow, Load Haul. There's some really good really good potential in terms of liveries and numbers as well. They've even, I believe, done the unique tooling in order to do number 44 Exeter's unique headlight setup. Because if you look at it from the front, it looks like it's got a black eye, but that's because it's got a unique headlight arrangement. from when it went mainline a number of years ago. In terms of should you throw out your old Hornby one and get one of these, I don't think so. I think if you're looking for another 50 to add on to your collection, I see no issue with buying an Accurascale example, but I wouldn't throw away my old Hornby 50, well, older Hornby 50 now, in order to replace it with one of these, because the Hornby one will do the job. Don't get me wrong, the Accurascale one is far more detailed, but then you're paying a higher price for that. I think Hornby's 50 is now dated, and if they're releasing it for about the same price as Accurascales on the retail market, brand new, definitely go with Accurascales. If you're looking for one in the second-hand market, I don't see any issues with buying a Hornby example, maybe getting it renamed, renumbered. Or if you're looking for those unique liveries, of course, Accura does have enough remit to maybe do Valiant in Dutch civils. I think there was one or two other unique ones from the 90s when the 50s were wrapping up service on the NSE out of Waterloo. So yeah, just to reiterate that, if Hornby's selling them for the same price as Accurascale, I'd recommend Accurascales. If you're looking on the second-hand market to try and get a 50, there is nothing really wrong with the older Hornby 50. I will say Accurascale's working fan is better than Hornby's working fan. I can't quite tell how the working fan operates. I believe it's electrically, which is a far better option than what Hornby did, which was attach a drive belt to, I think it's there was like a unique flywheel inside that had a indent in it, so it kept the drive band in place on the flywheel, and it just didn't work. And after a while, those drive bands become brittle. So there's no real point in keeping that in your 50. You might as well just cut that drive belt and leave it be. I'm really happy with this though. I don't know quite what I was expecting. I suppose it is what I was expecting, but it's those extra little bits that have made it really nice. Those extra components, especially the components in the pack with the nameplate, the Lera depot plaque, the double arrows, the actual ship crest as well, so you could put that on if you're going to run this as if it were in preservation. And what was the other? Oh yes, the Hoover headboard. A really nice touch as well. I'm really surprised they also included that, but I'm not going to complain at all. And honestly, this is maybe an excuse in the future to get some Accurascale CDAs. But the Tigers absolutely looked the part. It hauled it absolutely no problem. Talking about running around the layout as well, I should say it handled the triple point at the mouth of the station perfectly fine, with no issues at all. It runs perfectly well. It's just that little bit of squeaking to it that can probably get solved with some lubrication. So really, this is a good model. A few tiny things to whinge about that are easily put right. I just don't want, well, not to say this would become the new standard, but I feel as if we're going to skimp a little on lubrication here and there, like Hornby and Bachmann have done. It just feels like it feels like almost, I don't want to say it, but like almost as if Accurascale has slipped a little. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe the squeaking is something else. I have lubricated all of the axles and run it for a good half hour, and the squeak is still present. So I'm really not sure. I'm guessing it must be the gears, and I'll have to lubricate those a little. It is a very nice model to just look at, to be honest. The printing on the livery's crisp as well, even the nameplate and that layer of depot plaque at the end, really nice. And they've captured it really well. I'm very happy with it. So if you have any questions about the model, the layout, please leave a comment. I'll either react to it, I suppose, or reply if I know the answer. I'm not sure what the next pre-order to arrive will be. I imagine the Black Label Dapple A4s are imminent. I seem to recall Accurascale's 89 was delayed a little to Q2, which we're now in, maybe late Q2, so that'll be in the summer. Maybe another, well, it is the summer, it's June now, blimey, years flown by. So that'll probably be another few months. And I can't really remember anything else that I might have pre-ordered. That'll be next time. Anyway, let's all look forward to it. So until the next time we're in the shed, goodbye.